right, let's do a review of this thing by doing a little bit of magic. Haha, there we go. Look at that, magic. It actually is kind of magic that this big old frame fits inside this little teeny tiny rifle case that I think only one of my rifles would actually fit in, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, the company's called this is called Timberstrike. I think it's called 3 Timbers Creative. Let's go ahead and slap a target on here. 3 Timbers Creative reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to make a video about their target stand in exchange for a free one. I was obviously happy to oblige, but I also told them, like, hey, you're a local company. I like to support local companies. So instead of just doing just a video, I'll do, I did a 60-second video on it already. So I'll do a 60-second video, but also just do a full-on review. So that's what this is. This is a full-blown review of the Timberstrike target stand. So if you watched my 60-second video on it, one of the things that I pointed out, and I'm just going to jump straight to that right out of the gates, I know for a fact people are going to hit me with the question of, well, dude, couldn't you just build that yourself? The answer is yes, you could. That said, by the time you price out every component from the hooks to the couplers to the rubber feet even, ooh, rubber feet, by the time you add all that stuff in, not even including labor, you're about at the cost of what one of these costs. And so for me, when it comes to DIY projects, they only make sense if I can build something myself for either an exceptional amount of savings or if it gives me the option to do a better job. When it comes to building a target stand, honestly, like, could I do a better job than this? Personally, no, probably not. And now that I've looked up each of the components and all of the parts on it, could I do it for cheaper? Maybe a few bucks, but the amount of time it would take me just to shop and buy all this stuff, that amount of time alone would make up the difference in what it costs to just buy one of these. So that's pretty cool. So, happy to cover that out of the gates. Next thing, let's just talk about features real quick, shall we? Obviously, as I pointed out in the beginning, it packs into a pretty small rifle case. It's not the lightest rifle case once it's all together, but that's okay. It's a target stand. I don't really want it to be light. I want it to be robust. Yeah, I prefer it to be a little more on the heavy side. I have put a handful of rounds through it. The spalling naturally is going to start chipping the paint, but it's actually held up better than I expected it to. The one I opted to go with doesn't come with its own steel target because if you're like me and you've been into guns as long as I have and been into shooting as long as I have, my garage has a pile of steel targets that I've honestly never even used. So I didn't need to get a steel target from them. So for me, it was just the frame, everything I needed. I personally really like, let me think, how do I best phrase this? I have a Legion target stand that I really like for shooting pistols on. It's probably my favorite pistol target stand. However, swingers or swinging targets are definitely my favorite rifle target stands. And the reason for that is that not only do you get the audible feedback that you got an impact, but you also get the visual of the whole target swinging, which is really convenient. On the property that I shoot on a lot, I have a full-size IPSC I hung up there, and I just have it on a post. And so even though it's set up at like 600 yards, when you shoot it, because of the way it's set up, you get very little audible feedback from it. And since it's a 1/2-inch full-size IPSC plate, you get no visual feedback unless you get splash. And so calling your own hits on that target is actually quite the challenge. So that's why for building my dope out for hunting, or for recently the Recce Ridge running gun, or even for right now, we're just coming off of a coyote hunting tournament. I like to build my dope on swingers because then I get an audible and a visual feedback that I got my impact. And so for me, when it comes to rifle target stands, I really like the idea of like an A-frame setup like this with a hanging, swinging target, so that I get both forms of positive confirmation that I made my impact. So yeah, there's that. So anyway, my overall impressions of the target stand, I really like that they took user feedback and added, they added these little set screws to help lock your chains in, for example, so that if you get a little buck wild with your impacts, the chains can't jump out of the hooks. I like that. I like that, it's inevitable that someone's going to shoot my bolts and potentially even my chains. I've had target stands before where if the chain gets shot and breaks, I have to go buy a new chain. I have to go buy a new carabiner or S hook or whatever it is to attach it. So far with this target, this bolt even is halfway shot. So far, whenever the chains or the target or the bolts themselves get shot, it's a really easy replacement, and I'm not worried about it. I am a bit more selective in who I use this with, though. I made the mistake. The first A-frame target stand like this I ever purchased, it was a piece of crap, by the way, so I'm not going to tell you who it was from. But the first time I took it to the range with other people, they shot all my legs. All of my legs and my top arm all got shot with bullet holes in them, and so that was really frustrating. So I have learned that lesson. If you're going to set up an A-frame swinger style target stand, you should absolutely make sure that you trust the individuals and that you know they have a high level of accountability for their skills and abilities, so that you know they're not going to blast holes all throughout your target stand. That said, the company did tell me if I ever need replacement legs, they sell them, but it's also a pretty standard thread pitch, and so you can go buy legs yourself from Home Depot. They might cost you a little more than it would cost to buy them directly from Three Timbers or Timberstrike. So yeah, keep that in mind. Legs are easily replaceable. Every part of it is actually easily replaceable. So that's really cool. So yeah, it's been durable. It's been easy to set up, easy to transport, and has given me the feedback that I want from a rifle target. So all around, I give it a stamp of approval. I give it a big thumbs up. I'm grateful to them for hooking me up with it because I've used it quite a bit since they gave it to me, and I will continue to use it all the time because I am going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of long range shooting. So look forward to more content about that. Look at those 3 rounds, baby. Ooh, buddy. Pro tip, forgot to mention, yes, it fits in this teeny tiny case. There is a trick I use for getting it in there easier. I start by putting the top piece in first, zip it up a little, and then I slide the rest of the legs in, and that makes it so that every single time I'm able to zip it up all the way. So if you buy one of these and get this rifle case and you're like, I can't get this stupid thing in there, it's a you problem. You didn't stick around for the pro tip. Now you got the pro tip. Put the top piece in first, zip it up 6 inches, stuff the legs in, it zips right up every time.